Strength training and cardiovascular training are still some of the most confusing versions or variations of exercise. There's so many misconceptions about what is actually true when it comes to strength training and what's actually true when it comes to cardiovascular training. In today's episode, we're unpacking 5 of each that you might be struggling. So lean in, keep listening, and we're going to unpack each of these in today's episode of the Holo Health Podcast. Welcome back, listeners, to the Holo Health Podcast. Last episode, we talked a lot about strength training and cardiovascular training. Alex is here with me in the studio. AC, anything you want to open up with in terms of that last conversation? Just some overall thoughts?
No, we're just going to talk about misconceptions today on just when people have the thought of strength training and cardio, they have a version in their brain, but it may
Yeah.
not be the version or God's version or the version that's most beneficial for you. So I think what we want to build on from last conversation is just painting the picture clear on what could be and should be
Mhm.
versus your specific version, because there might be a better version. So that's why we're going to unpack some misconceptions.
Yeah, spot on. And so the last podcast episode was a lot of 30,000 foot view high level over both of these. And today we're going to get a little bit more granular with each of these misconceptions. And so these are kind of specific to each. Like I said in the intro, we've got 5 misconceptions and then the truth about what those misconceptions are for both strength training and cardiovascular training. So if you're looking to get into both or make sure you understand the right information on both, this is today's episode is actually for you. So keep listening. And then at the end, we're going to talk about our guide that's a little bit geared towards exactly what we're talking about, just training and exercise overall. So Alex, we're going to ping pong back and forth. We're going to lead this episode off with strength training, and I will let you start since you are the stronger of the two of us. I'll let you kick off the first misconception and truth.
Note, the only reason I'm strong is I've had the advantage of dad's strength, and Trevor does not. So that's the only reason I
That's
can
very
take
true.
credit for that.
Mm.
All right, the first one, let's talk about strength training, is it just takes up way too much time. That's one of the biggest excuses that people get. Well, like, oh, I don't do anything, or I don't go to the gym. I'm so busy, I just don't have time. Where here's the reality. You make time for what you want to make time for, and a sufficient strength training piece, you can become stronger, you can get stronger, and you can get a full body workout in literally 20 to 30 minutes. When you understand how to properly warm up, how your body moves, and what to do, which is why following a program or following a coach is very beneficial. It may not take as long as you need to. A traditional maybe strength training session may take 45 to 60 minutes, which is on average. So if you take, I want to go to the gym for 60 minutes, sure, you could get it done, but it does not even have to be that long. Sometimes at the gym, I mean, I own a gym and we do strength pieces in our workouts. Sometimes it is only 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 18 minutes, and you are getting plenty in. The question becomes how? Well, we can talk about that later, but if we're just talking about the time constraint of strength training, it's not true. 20 to 30 minutes, if you know what you're doing, you get in, get out, it can be done.
Yeah, it's awesome. The second misconception in truth, Alex, is it's optional. And so to clarify, we're not saying that you absolutely must do strength training. But the truth behind the optional piece or not is over the course of your life, you lose muscle mass and bone density. As you age, that's what happens. You lose muscle mass and bone density. There is a means to improve your musculoskeletal health and system, and it's strength training. Science shows that if we engage in some form of strength training, then we're kind of pushing off or preventing that kind of decrepitation that happens over time when it comes to our bone density and muscle mass. So in terms of it's not option or it's optional, it's like, oh, I'll do it or not. If you want to kind of remain resilient in terms of your body and be able to work in the gym so that you can experience freedom outside of the gym as long as possible into life. Strength training should be a part of your exercise. That's why we kind of say it's optional or I don't have to do it, but it should be part of kind of a regular rhythm for you.
Trevor, I'll be more blunt than you are. When it comes to money, God says you need to steward your money well. When it comes to our health, we need to steward our health well. And training is a piece of stewarding our health well. It's stewarding our body well, because when we don't, and other people are carrying the slack of our lower levels of physical health, that's not stewarding well. God calls us to a higher standard. And we're not saying strength training changes everything or fixes everything, but it's a part of it, because it is very, very evident, especially as we age, the people who take care of themselves and do some sort of strength training to still have the physical freedom to live their life, live independently, take care of themselves, versus the people who don't. So it's not optional.
Yeah, I don't want to spend too long talking about this topic, but I just don't want someone listening to think that they absolutely have to do this style of training. First and foremost, you should move in a way that you enjoy. Second is you should look at if I want to actually improve or steward my health. Well, what Alex is saying is there's different aspects of training that do increase levels of health in every area that have the
Right.
greatest bang for your buck. Strength training and cardiovascular training, sometimes combined, sometimes separate, will do that for you. But don't mishear Alex when he's saying this and say that God created strength training for you to do it. That's
No,
not
yeah.
that's not
I
it.
appreciate I
That's not
appreciate
what he's
you.
trying to say. And you can live
Yeah,
a truly healthy life. You can live a truly healthy life and never strength train. Because
sure.
inside of our 7 habits of health, it's all about movement. It's not about strength training. It's not about cardiovascular training. We're talking about these two things to enhance and raise the tides of all areas of health, both in and outside of the gym, more so outside of the gym, just for clarification's sake.
Yeah, I think I would clarify, you can live a truly healthy life without strength training, but you do need resistance training. That doesn't necessarily mean weights, doesn't necessarily mean barbell or dumbbells, but you do need to put your bones and muscles through some sort of resistance so that it's increasing capacity as you age. And that's something you can enjoy. That can be done outside of the gym, that can be done something home. You can do that body weight. You can do that in a sport, but there's a clarification between resistance training and strength training. They're similar. There's a lot of similarities, but you do need some sort of resistance training, and that is a much bigger compass than just strength training.
Yeah. The next misconception is no pain, no gain. And just the quick truth here is soreness does not equate effectiveness when it comes to training. A lot of times you probably will be sore. And if you're progressively overloading, which just means you're kind of intentionally improving the movement, whether it's reps or load or the time in between, then you're going to experience, your body's going to experience some sort of soreness. But just because you're sore doesn't mean that it was effective. Sometimes it means that your body just needs a little bit of rest, to be honest. But no pain, no gain is just a misconception that it doesn't necessarily equate to a good session or an effective strength session.
Yeah, and I would even double that down, Trevor, and say the more sore you are doesn't mean the more strength adaptations necessarily either. Strength
100%.
adaptations actually come first neurologically, and then they go musculoskeletal, because it's your brain telling your muscles to contract. And when they break down, they're going to recover stronger, but it all comes back from your brain. If your
Yeah.
brain isn't sending those inputs enough, then yeah, it's the muscle is going to build, but the inputs are going to stay the same. So yes, soreness, you will be sore, but you don't need soreness to get stronger or to live a truly healthy life. And people are like, oh, I wasn't sore. We better work harder next time. No, that's not necessarily. I do isometrics or core stability or plank work almost 3, 4 times a week. And I'm rarely sore from that. But man, I have seen so many benefits from just doing isometric work. I'm never sore from it, but my core has severely seen the benefits from that.
A sub nugget of this, if you're like overly sore all the time, two things that I would say and suggest to help would be one, to get a little bit more sleep, and then two is to try to move a little bit more outside of the gym. Try to take a 15-minute walk 2 times a day to really keep the blood flowing and keep the body moving to kind of flush some of that like targeted muscular work out, and that'll probably help reduce soreness. I'm gonna hit the next one because I like this one, and I'm gonna say it bluntly. People say, I don't want to get bulky. you're not going to get bulky. Bulkiness bulkiness
So
comes from
true.
bulkiness comes from lifting heavy and following a very specific program that most people are not going to be able to conjure up on their own. And more so it's going to come from nutrition. You got to be dialed in, you got to be focused on the right things, and you got to do it for a long, long time. So the answer, the truth is you're not going to get bulky. And here's the main reason: you're probably not going to work hard enough. And
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a you're less than way. It's you're not going to focus that intentionally on strength training and nutrition to get quote unquote bulky. You you're not, but you will develop a increase in muscle mass and lean muscle mass, which is what everybody wants when they say I want to get toned. You want lean muscle mass, so you're not going to get bulky. That's a misconception. The next one, Alex, it's dangerous. Hit home on this
Yeah.
last
I'll hit
misconception.
I'll hit this one around strength training is it's dangerous. Um, where I always like to share a few points. One, if it's dangerous, then the people who have been in the sport the longest should be the most injured because they have the most time underneath a risky environment, a risky sport. Where in reality, I've seen quite opposite. The people who've been in the longest actually learn the proper mechanics and are educated on how your body moves and how your systems cooperate with one another, that they actually reduce injury because the truth is, Trevor, that with proper form and movement education, you can severely reduce injury. To be honest, there are one of the most highly, not dangerous, but risk of injury sports is running. That when people don't know how to run or their body isn't warmed up enough, they're doing the same movement for miles and miles and miles. There's a very lack of variety in running, and running injuries as far as stress fractures, Achilles, tight hamstrings, rolled ankles. I mean, running is phenomenal. I run, you run, we like to walk, we like to move our bodies, but it's not quote unquote dangerous. I mean, stepping out of the car, getting out of the shower, coming up off the floor, anything's dangerous. But when we learn our body systems and how to brace, how to lower our body, how to properly stack our arm over our shoulder. When you learn that, risk of injury goes down. You're never going to completely void risk or remove dangerous activities. I mean, that would just mean you're laying on your back 24/7. Like God called us to rule the earth and subdue the earth. We're supposed to get out and get our hands dirty and get moving. But when we understand the way our body is designed to move, it severely reduces risk of injury. So, is it dangerous? Quick little 30-second sidebar, then we can keep going. Is so many people, especially I come from the CrossFit background, they're like, oh, I don't like to do snatches. Snatches are dangerous. Snatches are dangerous. Snatches are dangerous. I'm like, if you do snatches wrong, they can be dangerous. But what about the people who've been doing them for 10, 12, 13 years and have never gotten hurt on a snatch? Is it the snatch's fault? Or is it possibly you could have done something wrong or lifted too much weight or had improper form that was wrong? So they like to lump categories of strength training or Olympic training or dumbbells or barbells. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. It's the sport. Well, it may not be the sport because people have been doing that for a long time. They've never got injured. What do you say to that? It might be your application. So it's not as dangerous as you think. I'll stop.
Mm. And we're going into cardiovascular training. That was 5 misconceptions and truths on strength training. Now, cardiovascular training. I'm going to hit the first one because I love it. It's quote unquote the misconception or the belief is I need to do cardio to lose weight. This may be the most common misconception of all 10 of these.
It
Here's what
hurts my
you
heart.
Yeah, here's what you need to do to lose weight. You need to be in a caloric deficit. What a caloric deficit is, if you don't know really quickly, is you're eating less than you're burning. Plain and simple. Math equation. 100 minus 90, 10. Okay. You need to be in a caloric deficit to lose weight, which can be more effectively accomplished through, we talked about this in the last episode, NEAT movement, non exercise activity thermogenesis, which really just means movement outside of the gym. Okay. Walking, cleaning your house, going up and down stairs, going to play pickleball with a friend. NEAT movement, not exercise, which is structured, repetitive, and planned movement. Okay. NEAT movement outside the gym and proper nutrition. Okay. we really don't have time to go deep into that one. We're gonna probably do a whole nother episode specifically on, a lot of these misconceptions and things that people might be struggling with. But to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric deficit. It's more effectively done through strength training, yes, some cardiovascular training, but really movement outside of the gym and honing in the nutrition. Hit the second one, Alex.
Um, Second one is I hate running, which not necessarily is a misconception. That's more of an
You just
opinion.
wanted to put that in
That's
there.
personal. But the thing I would like to broaden on the lie of I hate running is God designed our bodies to move, and the hate running really comes down to a motivation perspective issue. If when we look at our bodies as ways to bring God glory and to align every part of ourselves to Him, we can actually enjoy it. And here's the thing: you don't need to do running. Cardio can look like any form of movement that's going to get the heart rate up and physically and physiologically improve your brain, your heart, your lungs, and everything else. So, biking, rowing, swimming, circuit training, body weight stuff, anything that's going to get the heart rate up, or if people are just doing strength training and never work their heart muscle, that's where we're saying, hey, let's look at the cardio piece and the lung piece and the respiratory piece, which obviously is the lung, but you don't need to do running, but God designed our bodies to walk and run. So if you just switch that perspective, and again, I'm being grossly oversimplified. I know this is just like I'm just trying to slap a band-aid on something. I would want to unpack this thoroughly with someone. But if you generally hate running, that's okay. You can find something you enjoy, but look at it as a means to steward your health well with the body God gave you.
Yeah, that's great. The third misconception here on cardio is running long distances burns fat. And this is true, but what happens is people kind of skew and share specific pieces. This happens in health all the time. They share specific pieces of information without the context surrounding it. So when you run long distances, your body goes to fat as its long-term energy source. That is what your body goes towards to pull energy from in those long form exercise variation inside of running. Okay. So these long distance runners, their body is pulling energy from fats that they've consumed to produce their result of running. Okay. What people hear, people don't talk about that. What people hear is, oh, long distance running burns fat. You're doing it because you want to shed body fat percentage. You want to lower your body fat percentage on your body. The more effective way to do that is going to be a varied forms of exercise, so strength training and cardiovascular training with nutrition. Okay. All three of those pieces are going to be way more effective, and you don't have to run long distances. If you want to, you can. But if you're purely running long distances to burn fat off your body, that's not the most effective way to do that from a time perspective or actual application perspective. So that's what I would share in terms of the truth. The variation of exercise as well as proper nutrition is going to be way more effective for burning fat than just running as long as you can in the morning. Next up,
And
Alex.
here's okay, let's keep going. Um, I don't want to sweat. That's
Mhm.
not necessarily a misconception either, but it's I would say, a disillusionment or just a improper way of thinking around cardio that it's not many, but there is a slice of the health and fitness pie that people are like, I just want to get a good workout in, but I don't want to sweat. There's many reasons I've heard that is true. But one thing I learned in college, I went to school for exercise science, is I remember one professor, he said, the quicker you sweat, the more efficient your body is to regulate body temperature. And the people who sweat more quickly are actually healthier internally.
Mhm.
That our body is meant to maintain homeostasis, the state at which it is at internally. And one of those very important pieces to homeostasis is body temperature. That if your body starts to get out of that optimal range, a lot of hormones, a lot of body systems, a lot of things start to either shut off, slow down, or just change and get wonky, which is why we sweat. We lose water out of our blood, it comes out of our skin to regulate that body temperature. If we do not do that, there is an inefficiency in our body's way to regulate our temperature. And what happens is when we do cardio, our heart rate increases, we get hot because the blood is pumped into all of our muscles, and we sweat because the temperature increases. When we get to that point, that is when adaptation occurs. That's when our heart, our lungs, our brain improves. So I know when I get to the point that I have a little sweat on my forehead or I'm really starting to sweat, that's how I know, okay, I have reached that point where my body is improving. I'm stewarding my health well. Not to say that if I don't sweat, I'm not. That's totally fine. But it is actually a very healthy endeavor, the way God designed your body to regulate temperature and maintain homeostasis. So if you don't want to sweat, I would really encourage you to kind of dig into that, because probably there's more of like a non-physical component to that. Maybe it might be to image or lack of experience or fear or persona, whatever that might be. But if that's you, I would highly encourage you to dig and process that a little bit more, because sweating when it comes to working out is a very, very, very good thing. As long as you're hydrating.
The last misconception on cardio is I don't have to do cardio. So it's kind of like the optional piece from
Yeah.
strength training, but the cardio version. I think Alex hit the nail on the head earlier. People say cardio and they think of running. There's so much more to cardio than just running. When you think cardio, what I really want you to think about is getting the heart rate up. Okay,
Yes.
exposing the heart to a higher beats per minute rate. Okay, that is what cardio is. It does not have to always look like, well, I'm going on a run. You can row, bike, swim, do CrossFit, do some sort of circuit training. You could do strength training in a condensed time format and still get the heart rate up. There's so many ways to do cardiovascular training, but the point is that it improves your heart, lung, and brain health. And so if you want to steward your health, well, this variation of your of exercise should be included, because again, just like strength training, it's going to go like this. It's just going to raise the tides of your health. If you're listening, I'm raising my hands, and it's just going to raise the tides of your health in every area. Now, yes, physically, and yes, it's going to help you improve how you look, but really outside the gym too. You're going to be sharper. Your heart's going to be healthy. You're going to be able to serve and love and do. You're going to have the freedom to say yes to the things you want to say yes to, which is really the whole purpose in us sharing all of this content. We know you have goals and we support those goals. If any of this stuff that we've shared is confusing or you want more insight, shoot us a DM on Instagram or reach out to us on our website. We've got a contact form. We're going to spend a little bit more time inside of some of these and just kind of unpacking, because it's such a broad but also deep topic. Both of these are, and these are just two ways that we can execute movement. Movement is more than just exercise, but these are two variations of training and exercise that we can engage in. And we would actually encourage you to do that. Alex, most people have goals, right? They probably want to look better. They probably want to get in good shape in terms of how their body looks. They want to feel confident, but they also want to have peace. They don't want to pursue the bodybuilder approach or aesthetic for to forego peace in their marriage, or to forego peace in their friendships, or peace in their soul, really. This is something that both of us have experienced. We've pursued health and just trying to get, honestly, in the best shape possible at the expense of health in the other areas of our life as well. So we know that you probably want this same thing. You want to like what you see in the mirror and love the inner peace you feel. So we created a guide to help you do that. It really condenses all of this information on strength and cardiovascular training. It shows you how to spend time on exercise. It includes workouts. It also has a nutritional approach that you can follow that will help you get the most out of your strength and cardio training. And it talks about what time can look like with Jesus in the morning. If you want that guide, we made it for you. We want to give it to you for free. All you have to do is go to holohealth, HOLOHLTH.com/60 minutes. 60 is the numerical 60, and then minutes is spelled out. holohealth.com/60 minutes. You can grab that guide there. Again, if you just followed that guide for the next 12 months, I guarantee you that you would like what you see in the mirror and love the inner peace you feel. Guaranteed it. And you don't even have to engage with Holo Help further. We want you to. So go grab the guide. Alex, what are you going to leave someone with in terms of strength and cardiovascular training? What's the nugget takeaway for them?
Look at it as something you get to do, not something you have to do. Perspective shapes the quality of your life. That when I'm talking with people and they view these two means as punishment as something they have to do, as a dread, man, that just does not impact the 30 to 60 minutes that they're spending in that activity. It impacts a lot of their views on health in totality. And because health is holistic, that there's many parts to us, our attitude we bring to strength training and cardio will impact our relationships and will color the assumptions we have about life, about Jesus. It is so deeply connected. And yes, Alex, we're just talking about strength training, we're just talking about cardio. I don't like running, but let me go do it. Here's the thing, look at it as you get to do this, not you have to do this. It will change everything. I've talked to many people about this, and just simply changing it. And we're not preaching CrossFit, we're not preaching bodybuilding, we're not preaching long distance running. We're just saying find something you enjoy and look at it as a means to align your physical health with God's design for you. And you can experience Him and glorify Him in every single area by something you get to do, not have to do. Change that perspective, focus on that piece, find something you enjoy, and we promise you it'll be worth it.
Listeners, make sure that you click follow on whatever platform you listen to the Holo Health podcast. We're going to continue our series and conversations around strength training and cardiovascular training. Again, just to paint the picture and help you understand the truth and realities behind both, but really to help you like what you see in the mirror, love the inner peace you feel so you can love God and love other people better. We'll see you in the next episode.